Hey everyone, it's Tango Oscar Mike 73. I'd like to talk to you about your car warranty that's about to expire. No, I'm just kidding. I'd like to talk to you about Morse Code, or CW, constant wave, in ham radio terms. I know a lot of new hams are getting into ham radio because of prepping, and they want to be prepared or have a way to communicate in the event the grid goes down and other means of communication aren't available. Most of the time you think about that and you think about talking over the radio. But there's also another method, and that's Morse code. There are some other methods too that we'll talk about, but for right now let's focus on Morse code. Morse code compared to voice or single sideband. When you transmit on single sideband or voice, the quality of your signal depends on the clarity of your voice, how loud and clear you speak into the microphone. If there's any background noise and you're talking to the microphone, like wind noise, it may interfere with your signal. Morse code, since you're just keying a switch or a paddle, a Morse code key, it sends that signal as a constant wave. Voice modulates as you talk and have dips and highs in your voice when you're speaking. And if you're trying to be quiet and you're talking softly in the microphone, your signal will be greatly reduced. Morse code concentrates its signal within 100 hertz. Voice or single sideband, that signal is in a 2000 hertz wide signal. That's a big difference. Morse code puts out 1 watt per hertz. Voice puts out 5/100ths of a watt per hertz. That's all scientific. But that does make a big difference when you're transmitting. It'll mean your signal's going to go further. I've seen the difference. Cliff from QRP school compared it to a flashlight and a laser beam. You know, the flashlight being your voice signal and the laser beam being your Morse code signal. Obviously, the laser is going to travel a lot further and be able to be seen a lot further. That brings me to another point. Morse code can be used in many different ways. Not just on ham radio. You can use Morse code with a flashlight. Captured Admiral Jeremiah Dermot, I believe is his name, actually blinked the word torture in Morse code when he was captured to let people know that he was being tortured in captivity. You've seen it in the movies where a sailor's stuck in a ship or in a submarine and they're tapping on the wall of the submarine in Morse code to let people know they're okay, that that there's 7 guys down there stuck. You could use Morse code with a whistle. If you're lost in the woods, you could blow Morse code on a whistle. So there's other means to use Morse code. I've seen there's apps on your phone that let you use Morse code on your phone and flash information back and forth between 2 phones without speaking. But in ham radio speaks, if you're out in the woods and you're trying to be quiet, instead of yelling into the microphone your call sign or what you're talking about so you have a good signal, all you need is a pair of headphones, and all you might hear is a little clicking on a Morse code key. There's some keys that are actually pretty quiet and you don't even hear that, but it'd be very hard for somebody to detect unless they're right on top of you. There's lots of great resources online to learn Morse code. There's lots of good clubs. There's CW Ops or the CW Academy. I took 2 of their classes and that helped me a lot. I'm still learning, I'm still practicing. I've been on the air with CW, but not a lot, and I'm getting more and more confident the more I practice. There's also the Long Island CW Club, who I've been hearing great things about, and it's a club I'm trying to join at the moment because they have practice sessions almost every night during the week if you just want to join a little class and practice with other people. So that's another thing. There's some great YouTube channels as well. Speaking of which, tonight at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, we're going to be building a Morserino 32. The Morserino 32 is a little Morse code learning computer. Not only it'll play Morse code and you have to enter it back in like the old Simon Says. If anybody remembers Simon Says computers where the lights would light up different colors and you had to hit it in the same color going back. It does that, but it does a bunch of other features too, including it lets you join a server and send Morse code over Wi-Fi to other users of the Morserino. So we'll be building that tonight with a few other hams. Check out Kyle's channel, AA0Z on YouTube, and watch us live tonight building those units. So that's my pitch for Morse code. Morse code does take a bit to learn. I've been working on it for a while now, over a year to be honest, but I quit for a while. I got frustrated and quit, and that was my fault. But I've picked it up again, and now I'm actually starting to enjoy it. I remembered everything that I started working on last year, and I actually have improved greatly. So learn a little bit at a time. You start with the alphabet, and there's a bunch of different guides online that tell you how to learn, and I would definitely check out those clubs I mentioned because I think they do a great job. Instead of trying to learn on your own, you shouldn't learn by looking at dots and dashes on a piece of paper like I did, because that actually hinders you in the long run. You should learn by learning the sound of each letter. There are other modes that you can use with ham radio that doesn't require you to speak into a microphone. There are digital modes. There's NBEMS using FL Digi that uses a bunch of different modes to send text messages, and they're a lot faster than if you were typing out a full Morse code message on a key. You can send a whole document through one of those modes. But to use those modes, you need a computer, you need interface cables of some kind, some type of audio interface to go to your radio. So you have all that gear on top of your radio now. So you're carrying more gear into the field, and as you know, the more you carry, the more chance there is for failure. You might forget a cable, or your computer may crash, etc. And you have to consider that you need power for that computer. And I know a lot of people use Raspberry Pis. I have a Raspberry Pi, but you still have to power the Raspberry Pi, and then you still have to have a way to input data into the Raspberry Pi. So either you're going to be using a wireless keyboard and a screen, or you'll be using your phone to remote into the Raspberry Pi. That requires Power 2. Again, it adds a lot of complexity into the situation where instead of using a computer to process the data, with Morse code, you're using your brain to process the data. So my message to you is to give Morse code a chance. Check it out. Try learning the alphabet. There's lots of audio files and little training programs online that you can use that are all free. Check out Learn CW Online. It's a great site that will play the characters of the alphabet, and then you have to type it in. That way you know it's interactive and you're learning instead of just, I know some people say just listen to Morse code. I find it better when I'm interactive. There's an app on the Android Play Store called Morse Code Mania that I use that actually really helped me. And it doesn't just do the alphabet, it does words and call signs and everything else. So that's my pitch. Again, remember, 8 o'clock tonight Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing a live build of the Morserino. And I'm sure there'll be more videos after that on using the Morserino for CW. So check out Kyle's YouTube channel, AA0Z. I'll put a link up here in the little corner, the little dot up here. And check it out. But give Morse code a chance. I think you'll like it. This is Tango Oscar Mike, 73. Take care.
Tango Oscar Mike.